Cow 477's feet are in an incredible mess. You're watching the Hoof GP YouTube channel, and in this video we're looking at the story of Cow 477's feet, how they came to be that way, how they are ending up, and what we can do to minimise the risks of things like that happening. Today we're visiting the Easy Fix factory to see all of the incredible technology they're using to produce environmental solutions for cows' feet. We're also visiting an outstanding farm in the middle of County Galway, owned and run by Sarah and Chris Burns. This is the Hoof GP YouTube channel.
And I won't let it rush when I see you dance, and the moment comes when I fall and time goes slow. I fall into you.
So Cow 477's story starts a few months ago. She lives on a very well-run dairy farm, but environmental issues, because cows are housed inside, can sometimes cause these problems to happen. This is the result of a problem emanating from the white line of Cow 477's interior foot. This is called white line disease, and as you can see from these images, it's a very serious case of it indeed. We've visited Cow 477 a few times now, and during the first visit we found a substantial amount of damage. We did everything we could to try and eliminate any problems that would make the problem of the white line disease even worse. But after that first visit, I'm sad to say we didn't really make a huge amount of impact. Sometimes these problems get worse before they get better, and in Cow 477's case, that is definitely true. After a few visits, we were starting to make progress, but she was definitely not out of the woods. This is how her foot looked after visit number 3. Yep, definitely not fixed. These problems come about not through mistreatment or anything like that. They come about through cows going about their daily business, sometimes tripping or slipping on some concrete, sometimes fighting with other cows. The problem is that cows haven't evolved to walk on concrete. They've evolved to walk on the green grass of southwest Scotland or Ireland or America or wherever that cow resides. We, as the farming community, would love to have these cows out in the fields all of the time, but it just does not work. And actually, if they're outside in climates such as southwest Scotland, they have a whole host of different problems facing them at every turn. Anyway, that's how Cow 477's foot is right now, and it's as a result probably of turning and twisting on concrete and screwing round in tight passageways that were designed about 20 years ago. I went across to Ireland, to County Galway more precisely, to Sarah and Chris Burns' farm. It's a beautiful farm set right in the heart of County Galway. They're one of Ireland's largest dairy farms, and actually they're new entrants. They've only been milking cows for the past year. I visited there during milking, and Sarah and Chris were kind enough to take some time out of their exceptionally busy schedule to talk to me. When we arrived, the cows were busy being milked. There are around 850 to 900 of them milking right now, and during the day they're out in the green grass of County Galway. They're milked through a Pearson 80-point parlour, and as you can see, it is beautiful. It's a work of art. It's a fully automated system, meaning the cows are actually brought up the yard automatically and they enter of their own accord. As you can see here, it's a nice orderly occasion. The cows freely and happily go on to the carousel all by themselves. The parlour itself is constantly cleaned by the people around it, and actually by some of the systems that are there automatically, so it's being cleaned constantly as the cows go round the carousel. I asked Sarah Burns for a little more detail on the background of this farm.
I'm Sarah Burns, and we're here on Listbeg Dairies in County Galway in Ireland. We're a huge area entrant this year. We went from beef and sheep into dairy. Predominantly they're Jersey cross, New Zealand style cow, just suit our farm here, to suit the soil, to suit. We have a good bit of heavy land here, so they're what we feel is going to suit us best. We put in a 8-point Pearson rotary parlour, so we did, and we're very happy with it so far.
We looked up and down with the parlour, and I suppose what we were advised on was 10 rows of any parlour, so we went 80 point. You're looking at 400 cows an hour, easily enough.
We calved down all heifers this spring, so I think people were saying we're a bit crazy, but we knew no different, so we know the hardship we were facing anyways. We've never really realised. We came from finishing about 1,800 head of cattle, and we land down about 1,500 male ewes every year, so numbers was a thing that we were used to, but still it was a huge big change for us.
So just now the weather is pleasant and fine and good enough for the cows to be able to go outside onto the pastures daily, and they're rotated around the crops. So in other words, they're constantly monitoring how long the grass is and where the cows need to be for the optimum intake and the best use of the land.
We know what grass it can grow. We started measuring grass 3 years ago. One of a big reason for us to actually change over, because we've seen the ability of the farm to grow grass as a dry stock farm. And everyone said, well, if you turned it into a dairy farm, it's going to be a lot easier and you're going to grow 30-40% more grass.
As you can see from these scenes here, when a new field opens up, the cows are more than happy to embrace it and dance, hop, skip and run into the fresh field that they're being allowed to enter. But that's not always the case. The weather isn't always as pleasant as this, and cows begin to ruin the land, which in turn has a real negative effect on milk production and the cows' health themselves. That's why when the Burns went into dairy, they wanted to bring the best bits of the outside inside, or at least what they could.
Ireland is well known for its natural beauty, but in order for this beauty to come around, unfortunately, we have to have the climate of weather we have. 1,500
mil of rainfall is our average rainfall per annum, and we are going to have them in for a period of time, probably 100 days or more.
1.5 meters of rainfall in a year is no joke, which is why construction of these sheds was so important.
Between last year we were doing, all the construction was going on. We still had all our sheep, we still had all our beef cattle, and construction going on as well. We made it a really busy year, and then all the girls then came November, December last year, and they were added to the mix. And luckily enough, we just about had the sheds behind us done in time here.
We already seen the benefits of having the facilities on our first year. We're very happy with having gone for such a vast shed and a specs of sheds. You know, they are, maybe they're a bit OTT in some of it, but I wouldn't take any of them back, and I hope to be here for a long time with cows in them and other generations as well. So we wanted to do it right when we're doing it. This yard here is set up for 900 cubicles we have at the minute. For now, I'd say we're going to be okay for another year anyway.
So when it came to choosing parlours and buildings and surfaces and everything, we did our absolute best of what we could possibly afford to give the cow all the comfort, as much comfort as possible. I think if you're good to animals and treat them right, they'll give you a return. You know, in turn they'll be good to you and they'll do well. We're really happy with the EasyFix cubicles here. Mattresses, when we put the heifers as they were in first, or the calf down, a lot of people was telling us, oh, they're going to be lying on passageways, so they're going to be lying on the scrapers, and you're never going to get them to lie on cubicles. It was actually amazing how many of them went on cubicles straight away. I think that they just realised really quickly that they're far more comfortable than the concrete ground. And the way that the cubicle moves and flexes as well is great, because they're not going to get caught in it. When we were going around to have a look at the other farms, I remember a farmer being really upset. He was that he lost one of his best cows to a steel cubicle, and I remember him saying that he took them all out and he just refitted them with EasyFix cubicles, and he was so delighted with them. And it's great when you hear, you can look at all the brochures you want and everything, but when you have another farmer recommending something to you that's been tried and tested, it gives you the extra confidence to go on with it. But we're really happy with it anyway, so we are.
These are plastic flexible cubicles, so the cows don't bash themselves and hurt themselves on steel cubicles. Steel cubicles clearly don't flex, so something's got to give, and unfortunately that's usually the cow. You see, lameness isn't just about hooves. Cattle mobility, locomotion, involves the whole leg, and if cows are bashing themselves off hard cubicles and things, they end up with sores, calluses and inflamed joints. These flexible cubicles move out of the way and they don't harm the cows in the way that some steel ones can, or pretty much all steel ones can actually. But it's about more than just flexible cubicles. Cows lie down on the grass whenever they want because it's soft and comfortable. They have good grip and it's easy to get up and easy to get down, and they're not bashing themselves. Bringing mattresses in from EasyFix is a fantastic solution to make sure the cows are as comfortable as possible, and that's not just me coining a phrase, but it really is important to increase productivity to its maximum potential. Cows produce milk when they're lying down, chewing the cud, which is basically when they regurgitate the grass that they ate earlier on. So during the winter months, these cows come into this cool palace, and it maximises the farmer's profits and productivity by increasing the comfort levels for the cows. So I care about the comfort levels for the cows, but it also means the farmers care about the comfort levels for the cows, because that helps their pocket in a very big way. Rubber flooring at feed fences is massively important. When cows want to eat, they'll force themselves as far forward as they possibly can to get the very best food. The same as you or I would reach right into the back of the fridge to get the freshest fruit. And by leaning in, they're using their front claws or front hoofs or front feet, whatever you want to call them, to push as hard as they can. So if that floor is made of concrete, the first thing that's going to give is the hoof, because the hoof is softer than the concrete, which is why, perhaps, cow 477 ended up with a foot looking like this. Now, had that floor been rubberized at the feed fence like this, like Chris and Sarah have installed at their farm, it could have been a completely different story. I'm not saying definitely, but it definitely would have reduced the risks. You see, rubber is softer than hoof. You see where I'm going with this? Hoof, softer than concrete, so hoof gives in. Rubber is softer than hoof, so rubber gives in, meaning that the pressures of the cows pushing and forcing their way to the better food are absorbed by the rubber and not by the cow's feet. I asked Chris if he was happy with what he had produced on this farm, i.e. what he had achieved, these sheds and everything inside them. Had he made the right choices?
That's a funny one. My wife will give Sarah will have a comment on that, and there's even a video from my 3-year-old daughter using a few exclusives. I drew so many sheds. I drew this every different way that you can. I actually like doing it. What I look for is the most efficient space per square metre per cow. These are 3 lines of cubicles and feeding on 3 sides. The best for feeding and cubicles is 2 double rows of cubicles and feed on 2 sides. But you're looking at a full metre squared more of roofed area per cow to go that system. So the most efficient shed we could build was 3 double rows of cubicles and feeding on 3 sides.
You see, I told you the Burns's family farm was a bit of a special one. Now, back to cow 477. And hopefully what is the final instalment in the rejuvenation, the recuperation and the re-emergence of her front left hoof. And we've got her back in to see how her foot has improved or how it's gotten worse. I was hoping I would see her last month, but actually we missed her and weren't able to get her in. She is now in the pen behind me though, rearing to go I'm sure. So let's get her in and see if that progress has continued, or if like the second and third trim, it has started to go back the way.
I guess really the whole point of this entire video is to show that when cows do get extreme problems, yes, more often than not we can fix them, but they can take a huge amount of time, effort and focus from the farmer, the hoof trimmer and the vets combined. It's definitely not always possible, but if we can fix the environment in which these cows are housed, it makes far more sense for the cows, for the economy of the farm and for everybody in general. Throughout this video, we're focusing on her front left foot, the one that had the extreme white line problem, but this back right foot also had a fairly extreme problem just a couple of months ago. If we flash back to June of this year, you can see her inner claw was seriously affected by a deep sole fracture. There was a fluid-filled cavity underneath the layers of hoof horn, and once they'd been removed, it was fairly easy to see why she was so sore on it. Fast forward to today though, and this is the very same claw, just 8 or 9 weeks later. It's made a full and complete recovery. This isn't just due to myself, this is due to the farmer looking after these cows properly, being diligent enough to get us to recheck and recheck these cows, and paying us to do so. And just like that, we have a full and complete recovery after just one trim. All we have to do now is routinely trim this front right foot before moving on to the job in hand.
Right, now that those three are just quickly trimmed up routinely, of course, let's check on that front left. Well, it definitely doesn't look perfect, does it? Hopefully as we trim it though, it starts to look better. So as you can see, her feet have grown a little bit since the last time we saw her. Cow's feet grow at around 7mm per month, and we're just grinding off what has grown but not worn since the last time we saw her, before we can get busy with the knife. Believe it or not, we just completely ignore the problem, pretend it's not there right now, and get on with the routine part of the trim, because although she has got a problem, we still need to balance her feet and make sure that they're modelled out correctly. That's what I'm doing right now. Basically, you could say I model professionally. Not many people would believe you though. Okay, so the routine part of the trim is done, and now we get to find out, or see rather, the fruits of our labour. That's a little bit close to my mouth, isn't it? It just goes to show that even although she is recovering, this still hasn't filled in. It's been months since we first saw this cow, and the problem is still descending down the foot. As I said a little while ago, this hoof is growing about 7mm a month. The whole hoof is only around 75mm high, but that's nearly 11 months that it'll take for this problem to completely disappear, even if we did an amazing, spectacularly magical job on the very first go, which we didn't. This was where the heart of the problem was last time. It looks like we might be. Are we good? Are we good? Are we good? So if we do a side-by-side comparison, I think it's pretty obvious that this foot is looking fantastic compared to that foot. That is something I'm really happy about. We just need to make sure that these little cracked pieces of horn don't materialise into something that we really don't want. This, by the way, is just horn shedding. It's hoof horn shedding away naturally. It's not something to worry about. And it's not something I'm going to remove, because if I remove it, then I'm taking more height from this claw when I don't want to put any more weight on this claw. Right, I have seen her walk. You haven't. Let's change that. This is an older cow. Cow 447 has been around for quite a few years, and it's not an exaggeration to say she is walking pretty much perfectly. When you compare to what she was like during that first couple of visits to what she is now, that is what you call a good result. And I, for one, am seriously happy about it.
It is fantastic, isn't it? To be able to work in a job that not only provides for my family, but also increases the health, well-being and comfort levels of these cows. And results like that only reinforce the love of my job. But what if cows could completely avoid problems like this? Or at least, what if we could minimise the risks of cows getting problems like this? Earlier on, we visited the Burns farm and we talked about Easy Fix products. And a line that I've heard throughout the course of my life, probably in the same way that you have, is that, oh, this product's been tried and tested in so many ways, and it's probably a thing you've seen at expos or somebody demonstrating something that you didn't really believe. Well, I'm sorry, Easy Fix, but that is exactly my thoughts on your products. Or at least it was. I've been around Easy Fix products for years and years and years and years. And I've heard the phrase, it's tried and tested. It's tested 10,000 times against a hydraulic rubber ram. It's been battered to hell. It's been stretched. It's been broken. It's been cracked in the pursuit of perfection. And I never really believed any of it, to be honest. It's a sales pitch, isn't it? But myself and Mrs. HJP, Ashley, visited the Easy Fix headquarters in Ireland, and I'm very, glad that we did. I didn't think I would find this interesting in the slightest little bit, and I definitely didn't think I was going to be making a video about it. But here's how our visit to EasyFix HQ in Ireland went. So like I said, we are here at EasyFix HQ, and I didn't think I was going to make a video, but you guys should stick around. If you're anything like me, you're going to find this really interesting. When we arrived, they even had the Scottish flag flying, ready and waiting for us. But anyway, this facility is incredible, and the work they are doing to improve farmers' environments and the environments for cows so that cows are more productive and happier and comfier is incredible. It really, really is. So every single batch of rubber that comes in to be made into mattresses is tested for stretchiness, literally every single time. This little machine pulls it apart until it'll snap so that they can find out and make sure that the rubber is springy enough and that the cows are going to be as comfortable as they possibly can for as long as they possibly can. This is a weigher machine. It's an abrasive machine that tests out how many cows can walk over a piece of rubber. This array of machines are doing this amazing job of testing out all of the products and all of the components of those products to make sure that every single one is as best or as high quality as they possibly can be. You don't really expect to see things like this in a place that produces environmental things for agriculture, or at least I definitely didn't. But this isn't the interesting stuff.
Forgetting the products for a second, they'll even design your very own cowshed, the cubicle layouts, the mats that you need, and every component needed for that situation and application. This place is seriously busy in every little room and compartment that you look.
The whole of EasyFix is like one big family, and they told me that before I got here. And I thought, oh yeah, sure it is. They literally are like family. If they're not a cousin or a relative or a brother or a father, they are just like family anyway. This machine, believe it or not, is a fake cow. I say that because the attachment on the end of it is an imprint of a cow's foot, and it works as a cow's hoof would work. So it puts 200 kilograms of pressure down onto a piece of rubber 10,000 times in a row. Find out what happens to the rubber when it's hit 10,000 times by the same hoof that has the same weight as a cow's hoof would have on that rubber. You could make a rubber mat and not go to that extent, but they do, and it shows. They are 3D printing the parts that they use specifically to create some of the products. This is the ultimate toy, or at least it would be if it didn't have a big brother, which it does. They print all sorts of things in here, so actual components that get used, but also components so that they can test them, test out the ergonomics for the cows that they'll be used on, and actually make parts to make parts. Mad.
When I was there, they even made me this little gift. It's completely 3D printed with latex rubber inlaid into the 3D printing. How cool is that?
That is absolutely class. Thank you very much. It's actually a really, really nice place. It's really chilled out, and there's stuff being tested and used for demonstrations all over the place. There are literally hundreds of thousands of rubber mats in this yard, most of which have already been sold to go all the way across the world. I didn't realize, but actually there are thousands of different shapes of mats that are required, but EasyFix have a solution, which I'll show you in a minute. Now, it's not all about what cows walk on. The rubber is clearly really important, but they also worry about cubicles and them lying down, and how their products will stand up to thousands upon thousands of cows leaning against them, trying to break them. Well, not trying to break them, but inevitably breaking them anyway. Yep, that's right. EasyFix have a custom mat shop. And I like my custom cars, and I know there are custom car shops. What I didn't know is, oh, Mrs. HCP's trying to get out of the shot. What I didn't know is that EasyFix have their own custom mat shop. So no matter what kind of environment your cows, or your living room if you're sitting watching this on your couch in downtown Chicago, no matter what type of rubber floors you have, EasyFix can either make it, modify it, create it, design it, or whatever, so that they've got something to fit your couch, your floor, your cubicle shed, your slat shed, whatever.
And that to me is something I did not know they did. Now the machine in the background is really cool, and this is something I definitely didn't actually think happened. This machine tests bums against cubicles. Yep, you heard it right. So this machine basically emulates a cow or cows pushing against these cubicles thousands upon thousands of times to see what happens. A, to the cow, because the part that's pushing the cubicle is soft like a cow's hide is, but B, to figure out what happens to the cubicles. Are they going to stand the test of time? And if they don't stand the test of time, that lets EasyFix know they need to improve it. But luckily, they've been doing this for years and they've got to the point where these cubicles are pretty much entirely perfect. Although it's not moving right now, the cubicle that is in the jig right now has done 4,800 pushes. So that's like 4,800 cows all bashing off the same cubicle time and time and time again, and it is perfectly straight. They've even got a rack. You know those medieval things that stretch people till they break? They're called racks, and this one is also a rack. They've put rubber mattresses that the cows lie on and are really comfortable on into this rack, and then they stretch it from all angles to see how much tension it takes to break. Unfortunately, they're not doing it right now because I would quite like to see that. Who'd have thought it? An actual medieval rack for cows' mattresses. Nice. They must go with a bit of a bang as well because there's a big steel cage around it. So this is the original farm where Michael Earl actually started to develop and build the EasyFix products, and this rubber is the very first stuff that he came up with. So this is 25 years old. Clearly it's not being used very much right now, but this has seen 25 years of action and it's still pretty much perfect. All of that R&D, research and development, to give it its proper name, has brought this product leaps and bounds forward. Out there is the next evolution of what Michael came up with to begin with, and in here is almost the current iteration of it, although this is just one size, and they now have hundreds of different patterns and sizes of slat mats.
The rubber that these cows are standing on is actually 17 years old, and to this day there is testing carried out on this farm all year round. These cows are really well looked after, and because they're by themselves and have a lot of human contact, they're also extremely friendly. As you can see, there are all sorts of rubber slats still nailed down to the passageways on this little family farm.
Yep, you're reading that right. Slurry technology. EasyFix are also involved in reducing emissions around the world and making slurry management much easier for farmers. There's some real top secret stuff, not actually in this warehouse, but in one we saw earlier on. And I know if you're not into cows or into farms themselves, this might seem strange, but we all live in the world that surrounds us, and what EasyFix are developing is mind-blowing. So we might look at rubber mats like this, or cubicles like this, or pigs' toys like this, and I have shown you the technology and research and development that goes into it, but really they're all fairly simple items. What they are creating for slurry advancement and the control of emissions on farms is mind-blowing. I'm not allowed to tell you what it is because it is so top secret, but the level of what they're doing is incredible. It really is incredible. So you should, just for that bit, forget the rest of the video, just for that bit, you should go and follow EasyFix on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, because when that gets announced, it will blow everybody's minds, genuinely. So EasyFix are involved with slurry management and making slurry as best as it can be, because slurry can be very good, you know. The aeration system they've got is particularly clever. It creates these big bubbles that blow through the slurry. By doing that, it actually decreases the emissions, but it also makes the slurry much better. It keeps the nutrients in the slurry, so when they put it on the land, the emissions are actually reduced, but the fertility is increased, all with a bubble. Pretty cool. There are tens of thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of tubes like this, ready to be formed into cubicles and fancy headrails so that cows aren't getting stuck at all in them. They come in all different cool colours as well. You would think, or at least I would think, that a place that makes rubber mats would be kind of a boring day out, but actually I've really, really enjoyed it so far. It just looks like a bit of rubber, but the technology behind it, I think this is the Jupiter mat. If I'm wrong, please don't kill me, EasyFix. They do a huge amount of things. Look, there's my gym mats actually. Gym mats. That's exactly what I've got in my gym. They also do like little toys for cows and calves and pigs and things like that.
Anyway, I know this is a real departure from what we usually do, and Easy Fix only asked us across here to go out for some drinks and some meals and to show me what Easy Fix as a family were all about. They said specifically, don't make a video if you don't want, make one if you want, it doesn't really matter, that's not what you're here for. And I wasn't going to make a video, that wasn't the plan for coming here, and it's probably annoyed Mrs. HGP actually, has it? Easy Fix support on our channel helps us to show farmers around the world how to look after the cows better. So thanks for that, Easy Fix. And thanks for this visit, because it truly has been amazing. And hopefully it will continue to be, because they're taking us out for dinner tonight and we are really looking forward to it, aren't we?
Yeah.
That's a definite yes.
So from cow 477 and her journey, her hoof journey back to full health, which we are nearly at, to Chris and Sarah Burns' farm in the heart of Galway, which is doing everything it can to make sure the environment is as good as it possibly can be from the very beginning of their dairy production journey. And then all the way to Easy Fix HQ. This has been a video and a half, and it's been one that I have absolutely loved making. So I really hope you've enjoyed watching it. If you have, and you've made it all this way without subscribing, then please think about subscribing, joining this herd, this community, or following this Facebook page. Guys, thanks very much for watching the Hoof GP.